Hello everyone, Maurice Singh here. Welcome to Things Invest, where we're going to be talking about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's video, it's for entertainment purposes only. What we're going to be talking about today, as of April 19th, ahead of the market's open, I'm going to give you guys my list of identified key catalysts to look out for with respect to the Tesla stock ahead of the earnings that's going to happen 7 days from today on April 26th, on Monday. So I'm going to give you guys my list of catalysts to look out for. In addition to that, I'm going to go through a quick technical analysis on where I see the stock price heading forward for this week ahead as well. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Alright, so as the first part of the presentation, I want to talk about just the key catalysts that we need to look out for with respect to Tesla stock for this week from April 19th all the way to April 23rd, so from Monday to Friday. As you know, Tesla's expected to perform its Q1 earnings call basically 7 days from now. So typically, Tesla have a momentum that's driven to the stock price ahead of the earnings if it's a positive earnings. So for this week, there are multiple positive catalysts. And some negative catalysts are mostly driven by negative media affectation so far. So it's kind of a mixed batch. But I think in terms of the weights that you see, in terms of the 5 bullet points that you see here, it's kind of a more leaning towards the positive spectrum overall. And so let's dive into it. So first one is the Shanghai Auto Show. It seems like so far we understand that the auto show is basically going to durate from the 19th all the way to the 28th. So it seems like Tesla is taking a more of a backseat this year in terms of revealing some of the new developments. So it just mostly have 4 vehicles in the showroom in the auto show in comparisons to NIO, Xpeng, and Li, which are more prominent in terms of their demonstrations, in terms of their reviews of some of the latest developments that they have. So Tesla has been just kind of taking a back seat, kind of maybe want to keep their secrets on a download ahead of the earnings call, which is something interesting, but definitely we want to look out for in terms of the press, media publication to look out for if there's any major developments that we're expecting from Tesla for this week in the auto show. As the second point and the third point here, which are pretty substantial catalysts as well that we have identified. Some of the news articles that came out in the last couple of days during the weekend and some early in the morning with respect to the Chinese registration that was reported. It has tripled year over year from last year in March to this year in March. It increased from more of the $10,000 level to a more of a $35,000 level of registration in March. And this also has a substantial increase from the February of this year as well, from the $18,000 level, despite the Chinese Lunar New Year, which obviously a lot of Chinese folks takes off or have vacations, and the fiscal time period with respect that on the monthly calendar is also shortened as well. Despite all of that, they were still able to sustain a very close number to a 20K of registration in February, which is an enormous milestone and a very substantial growth that China is currently proposing. With respect to the Tesla India, we saw the news article a couple of days ago. The Union Minister of India, Nitin Gadkari, he has initialized executive meeting with the board members and some of the C-suite executives at Tesla. Basically proposing an urgent proposal for a much quicker EV adoption production ramp going forward. And them expressing this interest is one of the catalysts that's going to propel this massive APAC expansions, the domination that Tesla is poised to have going forward. It is such a great green space for a lot of the new technological adoptions with respect to its technology. I think India is going to be like the next APAC Silicon Valley coming up, as you see a lot of technology coming booming. And on top of that, I think that the country itself is gentrifying, is becoming more and more innovative going forward. And I think EV and petrochemicals has historically been one of the key problems. on the air pollutions and with respect to just the geographical landscape as a whole, right? So improving, adopting EV, improving by using this green energy is a great first step for India to further thrive going forward. And also subsequently improve the economy as a whole. And if you pay attention to the Tesla career page, or if you look on LinkedIn, you realize that Tesla has been persistently hiring more folks in the India office, I believe in the Hyderabad location specifically in India. And obviously for the fact that they are starting to ramp up their productions and starting to ramp up the match for the demand that they have for these EV adoptions, knowing the fact that Nitin has expressed urgency around this subject matter, right? So going forward, I think Tesla is going to be a great component into propelling the economy for India as a whole, providing more jobs, building more factories, starting to emerge itself and create India or Hyderabad to be more specific, potentially become the next APAC Silicon Valley, if you may, competing against the Chinese Silicon Valley, which I believe is in Shenzhen. So as a fourth point here, as you know, Elon Musk has adventurously and ambitiously invested, a substantial amount of money of Tesla's balance sheets into Bitcoin earlier this year, right? I think about around like December, January time period when Bitcoin was still trading about like 15K level. And ever since then, as you know, we've been experiencing this massive boom across multiple different cryptocurrencies, right? And Bitcoin has basically risen from the 15K level all the way to 65K level. Sometimes I think happened in a week ago, and with respect to that, that basically quadrupled the initial investments that Elon has made, right, from the 1.5 billion to a 6 billion of appreciation on that return on the investment. So I think on this earnings call coming up, we will learn more about how much Elon has made. We will learn more about how is that going to affect the financial implications, and is he planning on selling some of the Bitcoin to fund some of the initiatives that he's proposing. Like what is he going to be doing with it, right? So we'll learn more about the new developments, and I believe this is going to be a pretty seismic one that we need to look out for. Because this has a lot of correlations to if we learn that he's selling, or if he learns that he's keeping more or buying more or something like that. That could have a massive drastic change to obviously the cryptocurrency's market exchange price. This will subsequently have either negative correlations or positive correlations to the Coinbase stock price as well. So something to look out for. And the fifth point is these are more like the macroeconomical catalysts that we need to look out for with respect to the sector rotations again, right? Shifting from all the small cap to large cap stocks or recovery stocks or safe haven value stocks. 10-year treasury yield we need to look out for. We should be hearing something from the Feds this week on with respect to these. On top of that, monetary policies we need to look out for, with respect to the trades between U.S. and China on how the exports and import tax going to be affecting the bottom line for multiple of these businesses that were contracts with China going forward, right? And chip shortage, something that we need to look out for with respect to a lot of these Chinese chip manufacturers on how they are sustaining the supply going forward to meet that demand is something we also need to look out for. So I think we will learn more about with the chip shortage subject matter more around the Shanghai Auto Show coverage that we'll be hearing from press and media this week. And lastly, some negative media affectation that we need to look out for. Seems like there are some articles that happened this morning, somewhere around like car accidents or like a fatality that happened stem from the autonomous vehicle driving accident, a driverless vehicle that happened in Texas, which causes a casualty for 2 people. So I think this is still a relatively new technological concept. So, deaths happens, with respect to car accidents, with respect to technological malfunctions. So something need to look out for, but we don't know how, media is going to blow this up out of proportion, right? All right, so moving on to the technical analysis, you can see that in the daily chart perspective, we had ramped up significantly earlier last year and this year to a $900 level all the way at the bottom ever since the S&P inclusion at 420, and ever since then we sold off completely because of the sector rotations again, right? The chip shortage, a lot of the negative media affectations, and also of the fact that we have baked in so much assumptions last year with this euphoric pump momentum, which causes massive sell-off. Whatever goes up really fast comes down really fast. And ever since then, we bounced at this level of the 550 level, upward, and right now we're trading consolidatingly. And you can see that we have created some sort of a higher low at this level right now, at the all close to a $600 level. And ever since then, we've been trading consolidating on the sideway as well. And you could see that we have basically formed some sort of a wedge here, and you could see that we kind of breached that wedge slightly because of the CPI report that happened mid last week, I believe. Ahead of the Jerome Powell speech with David Rubenstein, and ever since then it kind of retested and comes back right now, and because of the whole index with respect to like the Russell, the S&P, is basically running all times high. I do foresee today is going to be some sort of like a red day. As you can see in the futures, we are kind of down on pre-market right now at the 720.15 level, down by 2.62%. So I foresee us to be bouncing up and down here on a sideways fashion ahead of the earnings that we are expecting sometimes on the 26th again, right, on Monday next week, 7 days from now. So I foresee us to be bouncing up and down here, trading sideways ahead of that, contingent on any negative media affectations on more the macro, economically perspective, right? The fifth catalyst bullet points that I identified for you guys, right? So something that we just need to look out for, but nothing that is drastically is going to alter the business fundamental as a whole itself, right? So also with respect to the RSI chart, you could see that we're not overly bought, we're not overly sold. We're just kind of trending according to plan right now. So more sideways movement as you can see going forward. Knowing the fact we have such drastic move already, and right now you can see that the MACD has basically crossed. Also look at the 1 minute chart right now. You can see that like since this week we've been trading consolidate on a sideways fashion. With this whole CPI pump that happened last week and then subsequently sold off. And then right now we're just consolidating again. You can see that on a 1 minute chart we are a little bit overbought at the moment. Look at the 5 minute chart. Yeah, we're pretty much the same, and you could see that the MACD is slowly crossing upwards. So that shows some bullish momentum that we should be expecting going forward, which makes sense because of all the positive catalysts that we have identified so far. Look at the 30 minute chart. You could see that, yeah, ever since the whole push, we've been consolidating sideways. Right now, we are, similar to the 5 minute chart, we are crossing as well. So, both bullish on that perspective. Look at the 1 minute chart just to, look at it more of a different perspective. Similar to it, on the 1 hour chart, it looks a little bit more bearish in comparisons, but obviously bearish in a more of a short-term perspective because of the sideways trade momentum. So look at going back to the daily chart. What I foresee for us to happen this week is going to be we might have some sort of a sell-off today because of the whole pump that we had last week, and kind of bounce sideways, and then retest this level, and I for us to be pushing higher sometimes around like Thursday and Friday, ahead of the earnings call on Monday, or the pump can happen sometimes on the 26th. On Monday specifically, we might have a massive green day on 26. Basically baking in all the assumptions, baking in all the news that we learned from this week, right? And I think again the news is going to lean more on the positive side on the spectrum, and subsequently push up to this level right here of the 784 sometimes by Friday or Monday, ahead of the earnings. So here is just a recap on the numbers that we just talked about today. Again, with respect to the spectrum of all the catalysts that we identified today, I think we're leaning more toward the positive ones ahead of earnings, and typically a week before we will have some sort of a momentum play, which I foresee is going to be positive. But I foresee today we might have some sort of a red day. That's possible because of the whole last week with respect to the whole index pump that we saw across the board. So some sell-off today wouldn't surprise me, but overall I think we're going to trend more of a green positive week for Tesla. So if you're a long-term investor, I think the 735 right now is definitely a fair price to get into. I know we're trading at a pre-market value of a 721 right now, so we don't know what's the price point that it's going to open at, but I think somewhere around like the 720, 730 is fair. Anything below 750 is always a fair current valuation, in my opinion, for Tesla. With respect to if we ever get down to the 620 again, which if something really negative happens in terms of like the media affectations or with respect to the chip shortage or with respect to like the more economically driven ones that we talked about on bullet point number 5 in my previous slides, then we could potentially get down back to the 600 levels, right? But for us to get there, that's quite unlikely, knowing the fact that we've been basically consolidated sideways above the $700 level so far already. And if we ever get down to more of like a flash crash or something really significant happened on more the macroeconomical level, we could potentially go below the 600 to the 595, which if we get there, I think I will buy way more to build up my position to way more than just 1,200 shares, maybe buy another 100 shares if I can. That could be very attractive for me in a return on investment in just like a couple years going forward. That could potentially 3x my money from there. And my price target for here will be 950, which will give you 29% of an upside in 1 year if you buy in at the 735 level at about 1.3 times of MOIC. Right, so that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video on the key catalysts to look out for with respect to Tesla ahead of the earnings 7 days from now. Please, again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please also turn on the notification as well. It helps me, it helps with this YouTube channel as it further grows going forward. Please stay tuned for the next video.